She's basically pulling the, I have a black friend. Like when racists go, I can't be racist because I have a black friend. Hi there, I'm Roux. Welcome to my video where I talk about anything I want. Inspired by D'Angelo, I am, yes. And today I want to talk about J.K. Rowling's problematic transphobic views. I, like a lot of people, am a huge fan of the Harry Potter series. I literally listen to Stephen Fry's voice as he reads the books when I go to bed. I love it. And I was a huge fan of J.K. Rowling too. Just the whole Harry Potter universe is amazing. And, you know, she's the creator behind it, and I really looked up to her. And she also seemed like a real kind of person. Like, she didn't seem like a fake celebrity. Whenever she did social media, she would seem like a real person. She's been very active on Twitter, and before this, I was like, yeah, she's so cool because she actually seems like a real person who tweets her real opinions. And she, you know, she took a lot of people to task, and like a lot of people who were being idiots, and she like responded to them and, you know, basically wiped the floor with them on Twitter, and it was amazing. But then she tweeted about how she doesn't think trans women are women, and that trans women existing or being recognized at all under the law is somehow a threat to cisgendered women and to women's rights and the whole concept of womanhood. I was so disappointed when I saw this. She's part of a group of people who genuinely believe that trans women don't exist and that it's just like a ploy for men who want to sexually assault women to be able to get into women's spaces. So like bathrooms, public bathrooms, locker rooms, and just, it's bizarre. Like, a lot of people who have become famous from being in her movies, like Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, a lot of people have pushed back and been like, yeah, she made us like really famous and we loved working with her, but damn, this is just disturbing, the things she's saying right now. So she's getting a lot of backlash for it. The things she tweeted, I'm gonna read some of it. If sex isn't real, there is no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. She then says, the idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. So she's basically saying that she's basically pulling the, I have a black friend. Like when racists go, I can't be racist because I have a black friend. She's basically saying, I have been just so sympathetic to people who are transgendered for years. So when I say that having people who have transitioned or who feel like the opposite gender and who hasn't transitioned yet be legally recognized as the gender that they feel like is somehow an attack on women and they shouldn't be allowed to do that, isn't really transphobic at all. That's just, you know, because I know trans people. It's bizarre. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. I mean, she wouldn't march with them if someone was discriminating against them for being trans, because she's literally discriminating against them by saying that they shouldn't be able to use the bathroom assigned of their gender that they feel like. Like, here's the thing. Personally, I'm just like, I've always felt like a girl, just through and through in my soul. So I can sympathize if someone were to be been born in a body that isn't the same as what they're feeling. Like if someone was born in the body of a boy with a penis, with all that, and they felt, as I do, feel like a girl, if they want to change that so that they feel like what they feel like on the inside, just as strongly as I feel like I'm a girl, I don't understand why that's a threat to my rights as a woman or my womanhood. I don't understand that at all. I don't see the problem. Like, then they are a girl. They just, something went wrong when it came to the creation process where nature fucks up, okay? Nature fucks up. That's why people are born with like a female brain and a male body. And for them to be like, no, you're not allowed to fix that. You're not allowed to fix that because that doesn't fit into my point of view. And it's ruining my viewpoint. It's just so narcissistic and stupid. She seems really focused. A lot of people who agree with her are laser focused on the fact that their lives have been shaped by being a woman. And if someone else gets to be a woman and included, even though they were born with boy parts at first, or if someone who's born with girl parts feel like a boy and therefore transitions into a man, that sort of ruins it for them. Because then their whole identity is a lie, like they've based their whole lives on being a woman, and apparently, I don't know, it's just very strange that they would feel threatened by that. Like, it doesn't, no one is taking away from them. No one is taking away from cisgendered women by allowing people who weren't necessarily born with the right bits, but who feel like a woman throughout their entire soul. Like, no one's taking away from you or your womanness if you allowed them to be included as a woman. So it's just ridiculous that they're like, oh, but you're taking away the word. A woman is it's being taken away. It's just ridiculous. I saw a brilliant quote recently that really explained why a lot of people responded so negatively to women getting the vote and getting rights in the first place, and, you know, people responding negatively to people of different skin colors getting the same sort of privilege as them, is that if you have had privilege for a long time, if someone gets the same privilege as you, aka your equal, some people feel like they've been deprived of something, when in reality they haven't been deprived of anything. It's just that all of a sudden they don't have the upper leg. Know what I mean? And that's why it feels like they're deprived of something, when in reality it's not. You know what I mean? It makes me so sad that such a public person as J.K. Rowling could genuinely believe this. And she has not backed down, not at all. She just keeps talking about how it's an attack on womanhood, and that if people go through with a transition, they're infertile and they've ruined their bodies, which also goes back to a very sexist view that women are only women if they're fertile and they can bear children. So I honestly think that that's just some internalized sexism. Like, I'm sorry, you're not a woman unless you are able to bear children. Like, not everyone wants kids, not everyone can have them, even if you're born as a woman, like born with a vagina and the whole shebang. Are you now saying that you're not really a girl or you're not really a woman if you're infertile? They're really obsessed with this, that, oh, but you're ruining their ability to procreate, and therefore you're ruining them and their gender, and you can't change genders. That's just nonsense. It's like they have this obsessed notion that all women are the same. All women must be like this. All women must do this. And it's so sexist. So sexist. That somehow the body parts you were born with dictate whether or not what your brain is like. J.K. Rowling goes to say that she doesn't think that transgendered people are as widespread as it comes out to be, that she thinks that most people are just gay and they are going through a phase, which is incredibly condescending. They also are really focused on men being a threat. And I have a major problem with that. Like, yes, most of society's crimes when it comes to violence is perpetrated by men, but you can't just assume that all men are violent rapists and that trans women are actually men trying to be coming into the bathroom to rape you. And it's really sad because J.K. Rowling did come out and say that the reason she feels all like this, that she feels like trans rights and being able to be labeled by the gender that you feel like is a threat to women, is because she was sexually assaulted by a man in a safe space. And that he invaded that safe space and hurt her. And that if we let trans people come into like women's spaces, I'm doing the bunny ears with my fingers, then it's going to be easier for them to take the opportunity to do that. That's just ridiculous. Yes, there's always going to be people like, for instance, Jessica Yaniv, or whatever her name is, or him, because it's a guy who pretends he's transgender so that he can prey on little kids. But that's like 0.0.0 something. You can't just be like 0.0000000 point something makes it so that we can't treat the majority with respect. And I also want to point out that women can be predators too. You can't just go into like a women's safe space and assume that you're safe and that people are just harmless. I personally have been sexually violated by a cisgendered woman. I felt really safe in her presence, and then she violated me. So to assume that men are more likely to hurt you and that women are just safe, that is such a huge problematic viewpoint. It is. It's the same kind of problematic viewpoint that make a lot of women feel safe. Like, for instance, if they're out and about and someone offers them a ride and there's a woman in the car, they're like, I thought it was safe because there was a woman in the car. Women can be just as much of a predator as men can be. Women can hurt you just as much as men can. So I feel like they're so like gung-ho on like men are dangerous, women are not. It's really like, it's like the stranger danger thing, when in reality you should be wary of everyone who tries to talk you into something or do something to you. You're like, the villain isn't going to look a certain way, and that's not how the world works. I feel like people who are very close-minded would like to live in a world that's black and white. And whenever they're challenged on that, they get really defensive and feel like they're being victimized, when in reality, they're not. It has nothing to do with them. But because it's like such a major part of their reality, they're like, no one else can have a different reality than me. Everyone is the same. You're either this or you're that. Stay in your box. Like, I can imagine if I was born with the bits of a guy, but I felt just as strongly as I do now that I'm a girl, if I was forced to go to the men's bathroom, I would be scared. Do you know how much violence transgendered people go through? It's insane. And I feel like they have no empathy towards that. People who believe, like J.K. Rowling does, that this is like an attack on women, because if they genuinely cared about women, they would care about that woman's soul who was born in a boy body who has to be going to the boys' bathroom. If they genuinely think the men in the world are so dangerous and that if you go to the same bathroom as them, they're going to sexually assault you, if you really cared about women, you would care about that woman who was born with a penis, but who with her entire being knows she's a woman, who is now being forced to go to the men's bathroom. Also, a lot of transgendered people who are going through a transition, or who, like, not all of them do gender reassignment surgery, and that's okay. That doesn't make them any less, and it doesn't make them more of a threat if they still have a penis, which is ridiculous that I have to even say that at all. Like, having a penis is not like a weapon. It's your mind that's the weapon if you're a predator, and you can be a predator whether or not you've been born with a vagina or a penis. That's just, you know. If that transgendered person goes into the bathroom and they look like a woman, don't you think that the other guys in there are going to be like, why is there a woman in the bathroom? But they literally want it to be like, oh, but you're an other. You have to go to a different bathroom. If a this is so sad. This is literally something I saw in an interview where this lady, Kelly or whatever, like a blogger who's just like ferocious, raging at the mouth, believes exactly like J.K. Rowling does. She literally said that if someone who is a woman, but she's trans woman, as in she used to be a boy and now she's a girl and she is sexually assaulted, she has to go to a different women's shelter and not the real women's shelter. She has to make her own shelter for people like her, because she can't come to the women's shelter even if she was sexually assaulted. The gatekeeping and hatefulness is unreal. It's like being racist, but about genders. I feel like it all boils down to them going, I've had so many struggles in life, and I attribute those struggles to being female, which can be true. But then they go, and since I had struggles because I was born a girl, no one who did not have the exact same starting point and exact same struggles as me gets to be a girl. It's just like so immature and so narrow-minded and just insane. Yeah, I just think it boils down to a fear of otherness and narcissism and an inability to put yourself in another person's shoes, lack of empathy, and it's sad that J.K. Rowling is a part of that group. It's sad. You'd think more of her, that she would be able to, she's the creator of so many wonderful characters. You'd think she would be able to empathize with people more that are different from her. Do comment below what you think about this, and see you in the follow-up. I'm gonna read all your comments and take them into consideration for when I do the follow-up. I hope this sparks an interesting conversation. Okay, love you, bye!